So let's talk about it here, okay? Got my witch's brew. So I've had some questions. I did a post about, isn't that pretty? On my Port Townsend News site about Councilman Ben Thomas. Okay, so if you're watching this on Reverend Crystal Cox Ramble on YouTube, I was using this to get some things in the wind because Councilwoman Libby Winstrom and her thugs got all my sites removed. So I've moved it back to Reverend Crystal Cox Ramble. So Reverend Crystal Cox Ramble will be, dancing and lesbian drama and witchy stuff, and I will be posting Port Townsend News stuff there too. But you might not be interested in all the other stuff. So I have Port Townsend News on Facebook, and I have 2 other Port Townsend News YouTube pages you might want to follow instead, because this one's a little dramatic because I have a lot of fun. So someone asked me today why I said that I loathe Councilman Ben Thomas. I'm sitting on a bouncy ball, in case you're wondering why I'm bouncing. Woo! Oh, I forgot my hat. Okay, hold on. Wardrobe change. Okay, so they said, well, how come you said you loathe him today when a couple of weeks ago you did a video, you said he should be mayor and that he was a good fit and you hoped that he didn't win county commissioner because he was the only hope that city council had. So why are you saying you loathe him? Right? Okay, well, the answer is I do. I loathe him. When I was young, my mom instilled in me that hate was a really strong word. But there are 2 people in Port Townsend that I hate. And there's a reason for hatred comes from a different place. And I'll explain a little bit of that in a minute. I hate Ben Thomas. I hate Councilman Ben Thomas. Seems like a nice guy, right? Well, if you hate him, why do you think he should be mayor? Okay. Well, he should be mayor because Ben Thomas is the only one that's listening to conservatives, that's listening to liberals that aren't part of the hive mind, that's listening to everyone, okay? He's listening. And he's doing some things to help their point of view, a little bit. Maybe this much. But that's more than any of the other counselors. So Faber is really a very bad man. He's an arrogant bully, and he hurts women, and he incites violence, and his law firm protects assailants in court. It's very bad. Ben, don't do that. A lot of them are part of these different creepy clubs, blackmail each other. Ben's not really a part of that. His swinging days are in the past. So Ben is the best choice for Port Townsend out of all the demons you have to choose for. That's Port Townsend. I think that Ben should be mayor because he's a fence rider. He's a brown noser. He's two-faced. But in that, he listens to both sides and he's enacting some policy or trying to. He likes to say, I don't want to get in over my skis. So he's kind of a spineless coward. But in the last couple of years, he's got more of a voice and he's using it. So I think that Ben should be mayor. I think he should stay on city council. I think that he's a good fit for Port Townsend. For me personally, my personal life, I hate Ben Thomas because he endangered me. Now, more than Faber and Morrow, yeah, I stood up for Julie Jamon. Amy Sousa had a press conference, and Amy was friends with a lot of these people, and they turned on her horribly. The things that they did and said to Amy was just so horrible and cruel, and I wanted to stick up for her. And I wanted to stick up for Julie Jamon, an elder in our community. But Morrow and Faber didn't do anything to me personally. I was sticking up for other people, okay? Howard has directed things at me personally. She's personally called me a TERF in a post to someone that was in the mob that night. But Ben, he came out there to the press conference, and I had met him in the street a couple hours before the event, and he was acting like a nice guy. I had talked to him about Don Christensen on my sites. Don Christensen had been on my sites before the press conference, bullying women, myself, other admins, and people commenting on my Port Townsend news page. And so I said something to Ben about it. He said, yeah, I talked to Don about that. I was like, oh, so he's obviously friends with Don. He was walking down the street with Peter Siegel of the Daily Peninsula, and I visited them about 20 minutes or so before Piper Corbett came on the scene. And that's a story for another day. But then, so I had met him just then. And so just that night, which is also when I met Amy and Julie and everybody. The Free Press people, I didn't know any of them. I went there to speak on the values of pride. So anyway, the press conference just started, Julie's starting. These bicycles came in, running into people, shutting down our event. 7, 8 police officers watched, permanent event. They watched these 80-year-olds get run into, watched us get screamed at. Women were getting hit. Flags were being put over our face. Women were getting hurt. I'd already had a flag over my face and someone yelling at me for not supporting the pride community, right? Which half of the speakers were lesbians. And they didn't support us, right? They shut down our voice. They pinned us to walls. We were bloody. Women were injured. You know, they've moved on. Ben's like, I like to be in the current situation, right? Ben's moved on because he doesn't think anything happened to any of us. Anyway, Ben came out. And so he was out there and I saw him. So I went up to him and I said, women are being assaulted already. And he's like, oh, I hugged him and I cried. And so later in emails to Katie Daviscourt of Rebel News, she's now with Post Millennial or whatever, he talked about that. He's like, I understand. I know what they went through. I mean, one of the speakers come up to me and I saw the tears and I understand. He didn't do a fucking thing. He didn't go in and tell city council we were being harmed. He didn't sound the alarm. He didn't stop them. And afterwards, he stood up for him. And he still, to this day, 2 years later, stands up for them. So Ben's not a good man. Okay, so that's one thing. I don't like Ben. He came out there. He saw what was happening firsthand. He did nothing. That's not why I hate him, though. And so, you know, it was pretty horrific. And then later then we did the rally for decency to protest the city. Ben was, I guess he was around there somewhere. He emailed Katie Daviscourt that he was there. I didn't see him. And he had posted online how he's going to go golf instead. And, you know, Michelle Sandoval's like, my big birthday wish is nobody stay away. The whole town, you know, went against us, calling us right-winged, just horrible names, right? When, like, they were afraid that we were going to do something bad to them, right? Completely oblivious that we were standing up to what they had already done to us, and that Washington 3% and a few Proud Boys were protecting us so we could speak. They like to howl that right-wingers are going to hurt us, but they completely ignore that they hurt us because they've dehumanized us and we don't matter. And they do it to this day. So back to Don Christensen. So Don had posted, like I said, he'd come to my sites. He kept bullying me, bullying other women, saying horrible things, saying the police did a great job. And he wouldn't let up. Saying that, you know, they're going to do worse to us next time. They're going to block us in. Like, we deserved everything we get. Our pain rings hollow to them. He accused us of being the aggressors. There was 11 of us speakers and 400 of them. Just horrible things that Don said. And I was really busy gathering information, doing stuff online. And so the Don saga kind of led up for about 10 months. And in about March of 2023, I did a post and Don came in and slammed me. He threatened me. He said a whole bunch of horrible things. I felt threatened and I felt afraid of Don. So I emailed city officials and I emailed them with the date of what he said and the history that stuff he'd been saying since August of 2022. So this was like a little over a year and a half. And I was afraid of him. And I emailed the police, the chief of police, all the different police. I emailed city council, city officials. My life doesn't matter to them. My safety doesn't matter to them. I have no value to them. I have no worth to them. They don't give no fucks about me or anybody that was supporting an 80-year-old in our community. I was supporting a voice for both sides. They're just rabid and hateful. And still to this day, they think they're the good guys, the pacifists, the bubble blowers, the love wins, the no hate here. Anyway, I was pretty afraid. I was harassed at the parks, harassed in the stores. So is Julie. We live here, right? They said we didn't have a voice in the town square, threatened to do worse next time. Libby Winstrom put turfs out. They put their hate to us. Libby had her Salish rescue thugs there that night, shutting us down. Anyway, so Ben gets the email, right? This woman in the community. I'm a woman. I'm 50. I was 52 years old then. I'm not a whippersnapper. I am a human being. I'm a lesbian. I've lived here 12 years. I have a business here. I have a nonprofit. I'm a living, breathing human being. So not one city official messaged me back. Not one of them told me about getting protective orders or gave me instructions on how to do anything. Not one of them messaged me in any way at all. Now, there's other details to this I'll tell you in other videos. But Ben Thomas decides that I'm the bad guy. So he messages Don Christensen. I seen it in public records. He messages the man that I said I was afraid of. Me as a woman afraid of this man. He messages the man and says, our friend Crystal is still after you. She says that you're still at her, but, I don't know if that's true or not. So he didn't look at what I sent, that it was current, that he'd just done it a few days before. So he messaged the guy I was afraid of, told him I did it, outed me, didn't message me, put me in danger deliberately and maliciously and viciously. Then he got Don's email, and then he forwarded Don the email that I sent city officials begging for help because I felt in danger. Now, on their website, it says if you're LGBTQ, and you feel in danger of a hate crime or you're in danger, that you should get a hold of Morrow or Olson. I did. And other city officials. So instead of trying to help me as a woman in the community, he gets a hold of the man that I was afraid of and sends him what I said and puts me in danger. Okay? So Don decides he's going to protect himself, right? Even though he's clearly in the wrong, right? He did come to my page and he was harassing me. I hadn't said anything about him in 10 months, hadn't interacted with him at all. And so Don gets in a huff and a puff. And also, side note here, Libby Winstrom also sent it to him. And we'll talk about that another time. But she's, evil. Evil. So you already know how I feel about her. So yeah, I hate Ben Thomas. He endangered me deliberately. He's a horrible fucking person. He's a fence rider and a brown noser. And he's like, I do good. And all he cares about is politics. And you don't want to tick anybody off, and he's a fence rider, and I don't want to get over my skis, and I don't care who it hurts, okay? So yeah, hate you, Ben. I hate you, okay? Yeah, don't throw that word around lightly at all. So then what Don Christensen does is he emails the prosecutor Kennedy, and he copies Ben on it, and he copies Libby Winstrom on it, and prosecutor Kennedy talks to Don and then meets with Don on how to get a protective order against me. Don had messaged him saying that I was harassing him. I'd been harassing him for 2 years. And Prosecutor Kennedy has no value for my life because he's a corrupt motherfucker. He's the one that, violated a court order and didn't give Michael Alme and his dog back and nearly killed him because he valued Center Valley Animal Rescue over a man's life. It was a court order. Judge Mindy didn't care. Nobody cared except for Nat Jacobs, who's a very, very good man. The best man in anywhere. This is a really good man. Probably saved Michael's life. I don't expect you to like me, and I don't expect you to value that I that I even have a breath, or that, I've seen what you do to people. But I was a little stunned because I'd been, in the street. He's like, he acted nice with me. He thanked me the next morning for how I was de-escalated Piper's rage, and talked to me about, working with him or working with the city to kind of help bridge some of these issues that was going on at the time between, the different factors of Port Townsend. And so Kennedy meets with Don, tells him how to, like get with the police and how to do the different steps to get a protective order against me. But then Kennedy's also like, well, they're just words and they're, so kind of, didn't really happen. Ben's like, and Kennedy's like, well, she's got a blog about me too, so if that makes you feel better. And Don's like, yeah, but you're a public figure and I was just living my quiet life, right? He's just living a quiet life at home. And they're like, how would I know about him if he was living a quiet life at home? He was in the mob. He bragged about being in the mob. He came to my sites. He threatened me. Public records show that Ben contacted Don Christensen right after the Julie Jamon incident and asked him for advice on trans issues. Don was enraged at Julie and her supporters and talking about putting trans flags all over City Hall. And Don was, kissing everybody's, not Don, Ben was kissing everybody's ass and riding the fence. He's like, oh, yes. He didn't give a shit about me or my life, right? And so Ben and Don had already been talking. He was engaging with a city council member. He was in the mob. He was harassing me. And then he's telling the prosecutor that I'm harassing him and defaming him and all these bad things because he's just living his quiet life. And I, like I just know that this person exists, right? And so it's pretty stunning, right? So it got more stunning. I mean, this last March 2024, Libby Winstrom got all of Salish Rescue thugs, abusers, history of domestic violence. I tried to help their victims, and they all got protective orders against me. Right? They were at the press conference. They organized hate against me. They are the ones that did these bad things. The judges didn't care. Judge Rimson, Judge Walker, right? They issued protective orders that I'm not allowed to talk about them, I can post public records about them, but it might be harassing. And, Mindy's going to put me in contempt of court if I post court hearings online. I found them online. Libby Winstrom recently defamed me again. She's like, she illegally posted court videos. They were on YouTube. I downloaded them and reposted them with my comments. I didn't illegally record anything. And then in one of my cases with Rimson, she said, well, it's not illegal to do that. But Libby's still promoting that it's illegal. They keep saying I'm a convicted swindler and a convicted extortionist and, never had a fucking criminal charge in my life, right? They don't give a shit. It was a civil case that I was in, a free speech case, and I won the appeal. And they know that. It's just hateful. So I hate Ben because he endangered my life. If you think about like a woman being afraid of a man and reaching to city officials for help, and that city official contacting the man and outing the woman and putting her in more danger. And then the man does worse. He goes to the prosecutor. He gets all these city officials and aligns against me, and I'm alone. Right? I got no support here. And I got no family here. And I got, I'm not involved in any of their stuff. I reached to city officials who claim that they're the ones to reach for if you need help, and not one of them fucking got back to me, but they contacted the man that I was afraid of. And that's why I hate Ben Thomas. And now I see him recently, this comment, you'll see me out there, he's like, the Trump supporters have been harassed so much. And like the liberals that don't agree with the hive mind have been harassed. So their candidate wins, right? And they want to do a victory lap in their trucks. Let them. But Ben comes in and says, why don't you take the high road, right? Meanwhile, yesterday, Bjorn McLaughlin, one of the people that assaulted us in the mob, and others, I guess, were in front of City Hall protesting something. And they were blocking traffic. And some of the same people that was at the press conference were blocked in traffic by Bjorn. They had their same signs. Love wins. No hate here. Oh my God, love. Right? And Ben's not telling them to take the high road. Right? So seeing that pissed me off. Ben is a hypocrite. He's a brown noser. He's like, well, we don't want to upset people, but it's okay to upset us. It's okay to beat us. It's okay to silence us. It's okay to bully us because we don't matter. And you do. That's not okay. And you guys are still doing it. You're still lying. You're still making up stuff about what Trump supporters feel and how we're Nazis and bigots and turfs. And, I'm right wing fucking fanatic and all this stuff. My God, right? I've been called a Christian nationalist and all kinds of like bigot, Nazi, turf, like horror. What? I'm a lesbian witch. Like, I'm just me, okay? I love Trump for spiritual reasons, okay? Definitely MAGA, which is a tribe of light and healing and inclusiveness. Everything you guys claim to be, that's what MAGA is. And MAGA is not Republicans. MAGA is a whole new tribe, okay? You know who's a Republican? Dick Cheney. Warmongering demon. Yeah. Bush, during 9/11, Bush is just his dad was the demon, and Poppy Bush or whatever, and then the Dick Cheney, this war, and he backs the Democratic candidate, which wasn't even really elected. You guys are just like, you paint Trump out as this fucking monster. He used to be a Democrat. He's going against corruption. He's not done anything against the gay community. He's for sovereign rights. When he was in office, it was peace. With this fear you guys are spreading now about how we're all in danger, and these straight Port Townsend men are like, women are in danger and gays are in danger. Well, I don't fucking feel in danger. I feel safer now because I'm hoping that, Antifa gets fucking arrested and stopped from attacking us in the streets. The mayor was interacting with Antifa Black Bloc before our assault. Mayor represented our assailants in court. Deputy Mayor Howard, she was laughing at Antifa doesn't exist and Well, meanwhile, the police radio chatter said they knew there was 100 confirmed Antifa hour and a half before the event. They didn't bother separating the groups. 80-year-olds. That's how much they hated us and how much they devalued us. That's City Manager John Morrow. That's Mayor David Faber. That's City Council. Okay? And I'm not ever going to let up until Faber and Morrow's gone. Okay? And out of office, out of leadership, Faber's perversions and his sick and twisted connection to trans teenagers and their sex club blackmailing, creepy, all of their stuff, fun, great in private life. But, as a city official, it's not okay. It's not okay what Morrow did. You should not have picked a side. I don't care what an 80-year-old says. There's not one word an 80-year-old could ever say to me that I would be mean to her or bash her. I would just get away from her. I wouldn't get one of my friends. I wouldn't get two of my friends. I wouldn't get hundreds of my friends. They have a trauma wound. And like Julia Cochran had said, remember, Libby, this is a national proxy war. No, it's not. It's a living, breathing human being in the town you live in who's lived here for 40 years and deserves rights and respect. So, Ben Thomas is a good fit for Port Townsend. And he does listen to both sides. And he is, like the golf course stuff, he is able to do some things. More so the groups, the ethics complaints, the things that we all did to fight back that shut down Healthier Together, and it's going to, make things better. It's you, the people. But as far as anyone in city council, Ben's the best of them, and he's really fucking bad. Because, he said, I guess recently in the paper, well, we just want to just focus on the current situation and let Morrow, whatever now. Well, meanwhile, in public records, he can't stand Morrow, and Morrow's mean, and Morrow's this, and Morrow's that. They're all like standing up for him now. They all want to be in the now. They don't want to relitigate the past. Meanwhile, women have permanent injuries. One guy at our press conference got kicked in the privates by Alex French, permanent lifetime injury. We've got shoulder injuries. We've got mental health injuries. Some of the women didn't come out of their house for many, many, many months, mental health issues. And Ben just wants to move on because, Ben's got Ben's life, Ben's a good fit for city council and mayor because he's hundreds of thousands of times better than Faber. But that don't say much, really. They all need removed. It's ridiculous. They have too much money. And so they're going to lose their power because they're going to lose their power of their purse. and they're going to be sued over and over and over, and hopefully indicted and hopefully outed for some of their really bad things. They should not be in office. And now they've launched some sort of a war against the newspaper, right? Waste and ink, and they're really showing themselves, you know, all of them. And so the fact that I messaged city officials for help because I was afraid of somebody, and a city official, Ben Thomas, contacted the person I was afraid of and said, our friend Crystal's still after you, when Dawn was the one that came to me. I was the one in danger. I was the one afraid. I was the one that needed resources and help. They went to the person I was afraid of, completely ignored me, put me in danger. Think of anybody in your life in any sort of domestic violence or a situation, if they got a stalker or they got some, whether the fear is irrational or not, you don't get a hold of the person they're afraid of and make it worse and escalate it. And that's what Ben did. So I hate you, Ben. And I will never change my mind. I know who you are. And as far as Port Townsend healing, I'd love to be part of that, and I'd love for that to happen. But there's no way that we can begin to heal while you guys are still ignoring what you did to us that night, what you did to Julie, what you did to Amy Sousa. And until you acknowledge what happened, and we get all these lawsuits done and we get it all out in the open, we can't heal. And now Faber's saying that the paper's dividing the community. Faber divided the community. Started with Libby Winstrom. Started with the YMCA manager telling her 30-year friend, Libby Winstrom, the story of what happened in the locker room, her distorted reality. Then Libby called politicians, that Tina P. something, I've seen the public records. And then she contacted Jason Saranis. Okay, then Julia Cochran. Okay, so then we got George Marie. And they all got a bunch of people together. So Libby put out there for people to go to the YMCA and protest Julie. Libby hired Salish Rescue men to come and harass us the night of the press conference. It was city officials that incited violence against us. Okay, so, and they've never, ever admitted it. They've never backed off. They've never let up, and it just gets worse. So I do look forward to everybody healing at some point, but we can't heal until you guys acknowledge that we're human beings. And, stop your hate. You act like you're afraid that people are going to hurt you and take away your rights. You hurt us. You took away our rights. You act like there's going to be all this bad stuff to gays and lesbians. You straight allies in Port Townsend are the ones that bashed us, that trashed us, that put us in danger, that violated our rights as lesbians. You're the ones doing it. Every single thing that you said you were afraid that we would do, you did to us. And you're okay with that. So yeah, I loathe Ben. But actually I hate him. Bye for now.